Dacă Rusia ajunge să controleze Moldova, consecințele vor fi directe și periculoase pentru țara noastră și pentru întreaga regiune.
Imagine this. 1,500 Russian troops stranded in a frozen enclave, completely cut off from Moscow. No fuel, no ammo, no escape. Romania just flipped the script on Putin's last foothold in Europe, without firing a shot. How did they do it, and what's next for NATO? Stick around, this changes everything.
We can speak of a second front on the Moldovan side.
But Moldova has made its choice. We stand with the free world.
First, let's get our bearings. That stranded formation is the Russian operational group sitting inside Transnistria, a sliver of land wedged between Moldova and Ukraine. Moscow labels them peacekeepers. Kyiv calls them a problem. And for 3 years, since Russia's full-scale invasion, the strategic map around this pocket has quietly, relentlessly shifted under their boots. As of early 2026, the Moldova land bridge that Kremlin planners fantasized about is less a bridge and more a drawbridge, pulled up, locked, and watched by people who do not have keys. There's a viral New Year's story you might have seen, claiming that on January 1st, 2026, Ukraine and Moldova slammed the gates shut in a dramatic midnight move, sealing Transnistria off like a jar of pickles. It made for great headlines, but here's the cold-sourced reality. Ukraine actually closed its crossing points facing Transnistria back on February 28, 2022, hours after Russia's invasion began. Those checkpoints have remained shut until further notice. In other words, the lid's been on for a long time. The January 1st twist was more sizzle than steak. If you want the date that truly throttled the enclave's lifeline, circle January 1st, 2025. That's when Russian gas stopped flowing through Ukraine, ending the last routine pipeline that kept Transnistria heated, powered, and politically comfortable. The cut left the region scrambling, flipping its Kuchergan plant from gas to coal, and triggered emergency assistance packages out of Brussels to keep the lights on. It wasn't a tank column that tightened the noose, it was the end of molecules. And that, in geopolitics, is sometimes the more devastating siege. So why are we calling this Romania's blow? Because Bucharest just changed the political weather. In mid-January, Moldovan President Maia Sandu, who has been moving her country out of Moscow's orbit since day one, said aloud what was once whispered. If there were a referendum on unification with Romania, she would vote yes. It wasn't a formal policy, it wasn't a timetable, but in a region where words redraw maps, this was a thunderclap. If you're enjoying this video, hit that like and subscribe button right now. And Bucharest answered. Romania's new Prime Minister, Ili Bolojan, publicly said he would also vote yes in a union referendum, signalling that the political runway exists on both sides of the Prut River. Matching that, President Nicolae Dan has wrapped Romania's posture in bright, unmistakable EU-NATO colours. This isn't sabre-rattling, it's statecraft with a megaphone, and the echo carries all the way to Moscow. Predictably, the Kremlin shot back. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned that any move toward union would destroy Moldovan statehood. Language meant to spook elites in Chisinau and signal that Russia still claims a veto over the post-Soviet space. But if that veto depends on Transnistria as leverage, the paper is starting to tear. Let's rewind to the origin story. Transnistria broke off during the early 1990s war. The Kremlin left a small military footprint, the operational group of Russian forces, and a huge one by volume, the Soviet-era ammo mountain near Kobasna Ammunition Depot. For decades, Russia could rotate men and materiel through either Ukraine or Moldova. But after 2014, rotations via Ukraine sputtered. After February 2022, Kyiv slammed the door. After January 2025, the gas stopped hissing. If you're a Russian logistics officer staring at a map, Transnistria now looks like a cul-de-sac with a do not enter sign on every lane. No wonder Tiraspol keeps appealing to Moscow for help. And no wonder Moscow mostly answers with TV commentary. On the ground, the numbers tell the tale. The Russian contingent is roughly 1,200 to 1,500 total, much of it locally recruited, increasingly reliant on what can be scrounged inside the enclave. That might sound like a lot until you look at the neighbourhood. To the east lies Odessa, the most fortified coastal hub in Europe right now. To the west lies a pro-EU Moldova that has been tightening customs screws with EU help for years. And to the south, a NATO member with a very long memory. This is not terrain where you gamble on airlifts and convoy stunts. It's terrain where you send your lawyers and your spin doctors. Enter the EU's low-profile power tools. For a decade and a half, the European Union Border Assistance Mission to Moldova and Ukraine, EUBAM, has been the quiet engineer behind joint border posts, integrated customs, and harmonised checks along the Transnistrian segment. That alphabet soup doesn't trend on social media, but it's how you replace grey zones with rule of law lines. UBAM's mandate has been extended, joint controls expanded, and the net has steadily pulled tight. Meanwhile, Kyiv and Chisinau agreed on protocols to roll out more one-stop checks, bureaucracy with barbs. And Moldova just pulled another legal brick from Russia's wall, quitting the post-Soviet Commonwealth of Independent States. It's not an overnight exit. The lawyering takes time, but in January 2026, the government moved to denounce the founding documents. De facto, Moldova stepped back from CIS years ago. De jure, it's now reaching for the unplug switch. For Russia's playbook in the region, that's a big fat strike-through on page 1. So what exactly is Romania's blow? Think of it as strategic framing backed by alliance gravity. When Bucharest's leadership aligns with Chisinau's rhetoric on unification, it reframes Transnistria not as a frozen conflict, but as a temporary anomaly on the map of the European Union and NATO. No, there's no imminent referendum. No, union isn't policy. But the Overton window has slid, and Russia is the one leaning out. A united state would make the entire Moldovan landmass NATO territory the instant the flags join, just as East Germany entered NATO by unifying with West Germany in 1990. That precedent is hard to miss in Moscow's war rooms, and even harder to game against. Let's talk capabilities. Could Moscow save its garrison? Air corridors are blocked by Ukraine. Any aircraft bound for Tiraspol would enter contested skies and get a personal welcome from Ukrainian air defences. A sea-to-land rescue via the Black Sea and Odessa coast, that path runs through a gauntlet of mines, coastal missiles and NATO surveillance. Think Ocean's 11, but with fewer tuxedos and more SAM batteries. A push across southern Ukraine to open the corridor? The Kremlin tried that in 2022. Odessa held then, it's stronger now. Even Russia's favourite off-switch, energy, backfired, because the gas cut strangled its own friends first and triggered EUFU money and political will. Sometimes the weapon you choose ricochets. Meanwhile, the local chessboard keeps changing squares. Moldova is converging on EUF law. Its security services are clawing back space from Russian proxies, and its partners are synchronizing border and customs procedures with Ukrainian counterparts, and, crucially, with Romania. The chain is obvious. Customs cooperation tightens flows, energy diversification reduces leverage, and political messaging from Bucharest reshapes the regional narrative. None of this requires a single Romanian battalion to move. It just makes Russia's position in Transnistria mathematically worse every month. Of course, Moscow has counters. Expect information operations aimed at the vulnerable seams, Gagauzia's autonomy politics, labour migrants, the language question, and the security of ethnic minorities. Expect lawfare, appeals to decades-old ceasefire arrangements, peacekeeper immunities, and the OSCE process. Expect more performative outrage when Romanian officials say the quiet parts out loud. And expect pressure campaigns, energy, trade, cyber, designed to raise the price for Chisinau's westward march. But the fact that we're talking about counters and not columns tells you how constrained Russia is. Now, zoom back to the 1,500 troops. Soldiers don't run on slogans, they run on supply. In Transnistria, that means dwindling stocks, local recruits, and a lot of hope that no one decides to test the perimeter. The depot at Kobashna still looms, but it's a political hostage as much as a military asset. You can't move it, you can't resupply it, you can't use it without starting a fire you can't put out. Even the region's flagship power station, Kuchergan Power Station, was forced to shift fuels once the gas stopped. Transnistria's commanders are living in a concrete cage with a cracked thermostat.
What about Moldova proper? Sandu isn't promising a shortcut to NATO via the Union. She's promising a path to survival. EU law, EU markets, EU money, and yes, EU judges. Her government's formal move to exit the CIS and the accelerating border cooperation with Ukraine and Romania vacuum out Russia's leverage points one by one. It's patient, boring, and deadly effective work. No shots fired can still be a knockout. And Romania? It's become the east flank hinge in practice, not just in PowerPoints. For 2 years, Romanian ports have been the lungs for Ukraine's grain. Romanian rail and roads have been the capillaries for NATO kit headed east. And Romanian politics now speak in a register that reassures Brussels while giving Moscow ulcers. When the Prime Minister says yes to union on national radio, he isn't issuing an ultimatum. He's telling the world which way gravity pulls. Gravity is hard to fight. Let's clear out one last fog bank. Is Transnistria blockaded? If you define blockade as no roads, no trade, no people, then no. The region still has movements to and from Moldova-controlled territory under Chisinau's rules. But if you define effective isolation as Moscow cannot reliably resupply or rotate its force, cannot coerce with gas, and cannot credibly threaten a corridor through Odessa, then yes, strategically, the land bridge is gone. The fact checks concur. The border hardening began in 2022, the energy choke hit in 2025, and the legal political vice tightened in January 2026. That's a campaign, not a headline. So what happens next? For Moscow, the smart play is subversion over spectacle. Stir Gagauzzia's pot, flare Transnistrian fears about language and schools, bribe, bully, and broadcast. The riskiest play, military escalation, collides with physics. Ukrainian air defenses, Romanian radar, NATO ISR, and geography that puts every Russian move under a microscope. For a regime that prizes deniability, Transnistria is now a liability with a flag. For Chisinau, it's a marathon. Keep the EU money flowing, keep courts clean, keep the border boring and the winter warm. Don't lunge. The union debate is now legitimate, not lunatic, but forcing it before society catches up would hand the Kremlin a wedge. The legal exit from the CIS will finish in legislative chambers, not on Telegram. The security of Transnistrian civilians will be defended with meters and megawatts as much as men in uniform. For Bucharest and NATO, the homework writes itself. Keep building the east flank logistics spine. Keep pairing Romanian political guarantees with EU technical ones. Prepare, quietly, for unification contingencies, the way West Germany once gamed out its day that finally came. You don't need to publish the plan for the plan to have power. And on the information front, keep killing bad narratives with boring facts. In this theatre, truth isn't just the first casualty, it's also the last soldier standing. And for NATO itself, the alliance just got a case study in how to defang a Kremlin lever without firing a shot. Border posts, energy grids, and microphones did what battalions could not. They made a garrison irrelevant. The next time someone says Russia needs a corridor to Transnistria, the map will answer back, which one? That's the quiet revolution Romania helped finish. A final note on the people inside Transnistria. Families there didn't choose to be pawns on anybody's chessboard. Many have Romanian passports, many watch Russian TV, all want heat in winter and peace in spring.
The EU's decision in 2025 to fund emergency gas flows, even to a separatist region, wasn't naive, it was strategic decency. It kept doors open, lights on, and options alive, while diffusing Moscow's favourite line that the West wants to freeze you. It also showed Moldova can be firm on sovereignty and humane on policy at the same time. That is how legitimacy is won.
So, the hook you heard at the start? It isn't a prediction, it's an assessment. The 1,500-man force in Transnistria is trapped by 1,000 small decisions made in Kyiv, Chisinau, and Bucharest over 3 winters. In January 2026, the politics finally caught up with the logistics. The Moldova land bridge is gone, the drawbridge is up, and the people who hold it wear EU lapel pins. Which leaves one question, and it's aimed at Brussels and Washington as much as Moscow. When your best victories look like nothing happened, do you notice? Because in Eastern Europe, nothing happened, just changed everything. Hit like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Bye for now.